Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Signal PopCast. Today we have tons of guests from staff.
Hi guys, it's Emily Wolfe and I'm the executive editor.
The name's Troylon Griffin II, aka yours most bashed.
I'm Arturo, Guerra, the audience engagement coordinator at the Signal.
The name's Brandon Reese, Peña, editor-in-chief of the Signal and moderator of the Signal Soundbites podcast.
The name's Jessica Kunzat, the basher.
Damn straight.
And I'm Alyssa, the host. So, just fair warning, there's been like a conversation for the last 40 minutes about various topics, so if people just start not being able to breathe, we're all good.
We're not dying at all.
Yeah.
Well, not yet.
Hey, I'm gonna take one from Brandon. Speaking of death, spooky stories are great 2 times of the year. Summer campfires and October. Today, each of us will be recounting a scary tale of our own. And just so you get a sense of what's going on, it's very late on campus and all the lights are off in this room. And we're going to be recounting our stories. So who wants to go first? You can't go first.
Why not?
Because you're going to derail us. You gotta go like third or fourth.
You guys are going to be disappointed.
Okay.
I know you are.
I guess I'll go first.
Okay, here you go.
Alright.
Get it.
It was the night before Christmas. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hell, Satan, bro.
Oh, not.
That's like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where they just casually say, yeah, he'll say,
I'll say.
Well,
Oh my god, I love that show.
so back on track. So it was a couple years ago, and my cousin was getting married, and so we had to stay in this hotel in Corpus Christi, and pretty much the whole hotel was filled up with her guests, and there wasn't really any children around. Everybody was pretty much adults, or at least teenagers at that point. And so one night, I was asleep, and I got up, I went to the restroom, and as I was going back to my bed, I was like in that state of when you're half asleep, half awake, sort of mindset, like everything's blurry at that point. But I vaguely remember seeing this silhouette, or this like white figure, an all white, of a girl sitting like Indian style on my bed, and she had like black hair, and she had like this white gown on, and she was like sitting on top of my bed, like where I was sleeping, like the same, like, but I didn't even think anything of it. I was just like, okay. I just walked to the bed and I got in and I went to sleep. So then the next morning, we went up, got up, we went to have breakfast with the people who were there, I guess, in the hotel. And they were talking about how that night, around like 3 or 4 in the morning, they kept hearing children like running up and down the hallway. Why could they possibly be hearing children running up and down the hallways if there's no children here? And so yeah, that was pretty fucking creepy. And that's about as good as my story gets.
I don't like it.
Did you tell anybody
I'm telling anybody what?
that what you saw?
Oh yeah, no, I told like my parents and stuff, but of course, who's gonna believe me?
Like you should have said it before and be like, oh, well, there was kids running like after.
Yeah, no, it's weird. And then also where I currently live now, it's in the area where what's it called? Where all those deaths happen in the fort.
Killing Fields?
Yes, the Killing Fields.
Oh, I
so
love that
I
Killing
live
Fields
in that
story.
area where they kind of like built houses over that whole area, and so you'll
that's
see.
like something else right there.
And so
You're living your best life.
because like they have like this group on Facebook that's dedicated for like the people who live in that neighborhood, and they will comment sometimes saying that I know one lady did in her kitchen, she saw or she kept hearing this like lady laughing in her kitchen. It's fucking weird.
Nope.
And other people have said that they have seen like things in the area in their homes.
Yeah,
So,
like
Move.
the first time I heard that lady laugh, I would have put my house up for sale. Like that is.
and so that's
That's like when your cat or your dog like stares down a hallway and there's nothing there. That's like it's time to
that's
move.
no. I'm out, but still living there and
Still
Are you
alive.
okay?
still alive.
Well,
Still alive unless I don't turn up on Monday and we'll figure out what happens.
well, may the ghost be with you.
No, what are you doing?
Or not.
But
not.
listen, the only ghost I believe in is the Holy Ghost, and that's it. So
Praise Jesus.
that's all I get.
You
I think
said praise Satan like 5
I
minutes
don't
ago.
say
I am a polytheist.
He believes in
You're
all
I'm
the
kidding.
gods.
I'm kidding.
All the gods ever.
Alright, who's next?
This is blinding.
Oh, I feel
We
it.
have a makeshift flashlight called the flashlight app on the phone.
Okay, so my story is like not really a scary story per se, except that I was scared in the moment. But like, I don't think my story will scare you. But I used to live in this apartment by myself, mind you.
Oh God.
It was on the first floor, and my apartment backed up to a forest. So like, literally, if you walked out my front door, like my door faced another apartment door, but if you walked out my front door and turned to your left, like the forest was literally less than 10 feet away from my apartment door.
This is a setup for these scary to me. I'm not here for it.
And to make it worse, like I had to walk around the back of my building to get to my apartment door. So it wasn't like my apartment was near where I would park my car or anything. Like if someone were trying to like get me at my apartment, I'd have to like run around a whole building to get to the parking lot. Like it was kind of terrifying. And I was like 19 living by myself, so it was like scary. That's not the story, but it was scary. So one day, it was in summer. It was like later on in the summer. I remember because it was when I was an orientation leader. I got home and I walked to my apartment and I was standing at the door and I like put my keys in the door and like started to turn them. And as I'm like literally turning the key, I shift my eyesight slightly to the right. And on the maybe like 3 inches away from my door frame is the biggest spider I have ever seen in my life.
Nope.
Like with legs included, it was probably like 3 or 4 inches, like massive spider. So I'm sitting there like literally I immediately froze. Like my hand is still on the key and I'm thinking like if I move an inch, this spider's gonna kill me, right? Like that's like all I was thinking about. And so I'm like looking at the spider and I'm like, what do? Do I go in my apartment and know that I left this spider out here, like that it's out here like ready to fucking kill me at any moment? Or do I just like keep standing here and like kill it, right? So I decided to kill it, right? But I looked at the spider and I'm like thinking about how I'm gonna take off my shoe and throw it at it, or I'm gonna stomp on it or do something. Like, and it was far off the ground. Like it was at probably like my chest level, like on the door. And so I'm like looking at it and I'm like thinking about how I'm gonna smash this spider to bits so that I know that it doesn't exist in this world anymore. And as I'm looking at it, it kind of like, you know how like spider eyes are like reflective? Well, like I'm looking at the back of it and there's like the whole spider is reflective. And that's when I realized that this spider has a sack of baby spiders on its back.
No.
So I knew, like, y'all have seen the videos before on like Facebook. When you smash a spider with a sack of baby spiders on the back, they all just spread. So I'm like I'm still sitting here frozen. Like at this point, I've been standing there for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, what do I do? Because if I smash the spider, I know that I'm unleashing a bunch of baby spiders. And like, those baby spiders they could crawl in the cracks of my door and be in my apartment. Like, and I knew I couldn't do it. So I did what any logical person would do. And I called my mom. I was like, Mom, there's a huge spider on my door, and it has a bunch of baby spiders on it, and I've been standing here for 10 minutes now, and I don't know what to do, and I can't go inside, because what if the spider... Oh, also, I had a backpack with me, and I had unlocked the door, opened it, and threw my backpack inside and closed it. So I was, like, still standing outside. I'm no longer touching the door, but I'm standing, like, a foot away from my door, just staring at the spider. And I, like, tell my mom the whole story, and she's like, I didn't raise you like that. Kill the spider. I was like,
wow.
First of all, rude. Second of all, things were nothing. So then I started like texting all the people I knew who lived near me, and I was like, Okay, so I have this situation, and I'm standing outside my apartment, and there's like the world's biggest spider, and I need someone to bring me like spray that can kill it or something. And so everyone's like, yeah, sorry, I can't. And I'm like sitting here like, okay, well at this point I've been standing outside for like 15 minutes, and I like still haven't gone in my apartment because I know as soon as I walk in there that spider's gonna leave. And so I called my mom's at the time boyfriend, and I was like, please help me. And he was like, okay, I'm coming. So by the time he showed up at my front door with spray to kill the spider, I had literally been standing out there in the Texas summer heat for 30 minutes. Wow. Like, I was not gonna let the spider win. And so we sprayed the spider down with the stuff, and the babies tried to kind of run around, but they didn't because they all died. And then literally he like covered it in this spider killing bug spray, and it was still alive. Like, it was so big that like the spray wouldn't like permeate its body enough to kill it. Yeah. So he stepped on it and it went
It was like that crunch when you kill roaches.
Yep. And but like worse.
Stepping on crackers.
And so yeah, I left the spider there. I never moved it, like, because it was so big, it was dead and there on the ground. And I bet it's probably like still there, like 3 years later, because it's probably like a fossil there now.
As a warning.
Yeah. So for the rest of the time that I lived there, which was like another 4 or 5 months, that I looked at that spider every time I walked out my door and remembered how I won.
I'm the captain.
Pro tip for our listeners who are tuning in right now: if you find a spider in your house and it's somewhere where you can't reach, get your vacuum and suck it up, because they die.
What I do.
Yep. They can't survive the vacuum suck.
I mean, that's some powerful...
I think I'm gonna have to edit that out.
That stays in.
That's some powerful
What if I bleep it where it's like...
That makes it worse.
I know. Okay. Oh, well, you're writing this
Speaking
down.
of ghosts and disappearing, I gotta disappear, guys. So
I also gotta
Okay.
All right.
I gotta.
So this is a mistake in a scary movie. You don't split up. I'm just gonna say that.
Wait, Brandon, you're actually leaving?
Yeah.
So it starts.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and go now. Bye.
I'll find out tomorrow.
We're leaving at number.
I'll go. Not really about me, but I was told the story, and I know it would just creep me out if I was the one kind of going through this. So, just to get some background for y'all, my roommate had recently moved out of his ex-girlfriend's house, so he was living at home with his mom, dad, his brother, and his sister-in-law, and their kids at the time. So they're Hispanic. They grew up hearing spooky stories and stuff about spirits, demons, and other paranormal happenings. So they're all that's just kind of like the culture. But he basically had a job that required him to get up super early to shower, get ready, and drive to work. But his sister-in-law also had pretty much to get up at the same time, like they had the same schedule. And they would clash. Like one morning she would get the bathroom first, one morning he would get it, and they would just fight like back and forth like that. And then eventually he was just like, check to see if the bathroom light was on, to determine if he could like nap another 15-30 minutes before getting up. Well, one morning, without thinking, he just saw a doll on the ground and like placed it in front of the bathroom because the light was on as a joke, and didn't really think anything of it. He's just like going back to sleep, and then gets up later, goes to work, whatever. The next day, the bathroom wasn't occupied for the first time in like weeks before him. He's like, well, that's kind of cool. What a neat little trick I just found. So he takes advantage of the opportunity and he gets ready for the day, and he keeps doing this until like the sister-in-law just doesn't get up in the morning anymore, like until after he does. So he sees the same doll, like she's in there before him one night, like after a couple weeks go by, and he puts the same doll from the kid's bedroom, like he sees it in the kid's bedroom, moves it right in front of the door in the morning. So it's like 5:30 in the morning, and he like places the doll right in front of it, looking at the door as if it was like purposely placed there. Doesn't think about it, doesn't hear anything, goes to work or whatever. This happens a couple more times, and then she gets up later and later, like longer periods of time, and then until finally she's like been having this like mental crisis this entire time, and finally bursts to her husband and is like, we have to move out. There's spirits. There's a demon in this house. I don't know what it is. Every morning I get up. There's the same doll looking right at me. I threw it away. It was in the garbage, and now it's back. It's in the house again. We need to get out of here. We need to move. I don't care if your parents are paying for part of the rent. You have to move. We have to go now. And then he like hears this as he's coming home. Like he gets home early one day, and he's like hearing his brother and his wife like talk, like debate about like, is it the right time to move? Do we really have to? And of course she's very adamant because she's really legitimately thinks that her life is in danger by some paranormal spirit, until finally like he doesn't even tell her, and he just stops doing it. But years later, at a reunion, he like tells her, hey, so that was me that kept moving the doll. And she's like, what? And then yeah,
Did he not tell her because he was like, oh man, I'm in deep?
yeah, pretty much.
So it's like, it's better if we just don't talk about it right now.
Just let her forget it. Just give it a couple years. I think, yeah, it was like at a Christmas reunion, or like everyone was there, and it was like, hey, you remember that time when you were like terrified of that one doll? She was like, oh my god, yes, I'm so glad it stopped happening, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, kind of mentioned it like offhand. It was like, yeah, I kind of put that every now and then in front of the bathroom door.
Every day.
And she was like, that was you? And then, yeah.
You know how like horror movies are a reflection of our time in some ways? I don't even like scary movies, but I want a scary movie where they want to move out, but they financially can't. And it's like, make it like roommates. Like, dude, I can't afford this rent alone. And so, like, they're trying to convince them to stay.
Oh my god.
That'd be great. I would watch that. And maybe there's, like, some more layers to it. You hear that, Hollywood? You're welcome.
Oh my god.
Jeff Bezos. Is that like an Amazon Studios?
You should be like at like Jordan Peele. Be like, hey, I got a story idea for you for a next horror film.
For the social media tags?
Yeah.
Who's next?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's no, like, levels to the brightness.
I'm very sensitive eyes. Okay. It's fine.
You could put it... Does that hurt you?
It's gonna be more like... That's just not good.
We're gonna mute it. Try, like, half. Try, like,
That's
half.
like 2.
That's better. Oh, that's good. It still has that effect.
Here, is this better if I do like 1?
Nice.
You do too if that hurts you.
No, this one's much better. It's,
Okay.
Like, your face is just like a blind spot.
Oh.
It's just like this
So
circle.
you look scary, so it's good for me.
Okay. So...
You look scary when you have this glitter makeup on.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The cosmicness.
So, I'm going to tell a story of what happened to my sister because it's great. We always do, like, she's like the Chucky Finster of the family, so she gets scared really easily. And usually we just like write it off. Like, her room is upstairs, but it's like right beside, like, she has a door that goes into like the cooling unit, so it makes noise. And then, like, on the other side of her room is a door that leads to our attic that we don't use. It's just got like one empty chest in it. It's kind of creepy, but we don't use it. And so she is convinced that there is a man or some kind of spirit living in this room. And we're just like, Shelby, you're being dumb. Like, the noise comes from the cooling unit that's right by you're on the other side. And she's like, you don't understand. The cats freak out. And so, like, my dad is like, maybe it's like a spirit. Like, maybe that's a ghost or something. And I'm like, ghosts aren't real. Get over yourselves. And so one day, she's super sick. And so, like, when we're sick, we just sort of lay out on our couch on the downstairs floor. So me and my brother, my mom and my dad were like, we're going to go get dinner. Do you want to come with? And she's like, no. Can you just bring me something? And we're like, okay, cool. And she's like, also, before you leave, just know that, like, my phone's upstairs in my room. I don't want to go get it. So just call me on, like, the landline. I'll have the landline by me. And so, like, the landline, gave it to her. And so we go out to eat. And then, so we're gone. So the house is, we just have our cat. And so it's just Shelby and the cat. So she's, like, asleep on the couch. And the landline starts ringing. And she's like, oh, it's one of us. And she looks at it and it says Shelby. Like, her name. So it was like her cell phone was calling. Her cell phone was calling the landline. And so she's like, I broke into a cold sweat. She's like, I was so scared. And she answered it, and she's like, hello? And she hears, like, what's your favorite scary movie? And, like, the perfect, like, creepy voice. And we happen to be turning, like, down the street to go to our house, and we just see my sister, like, running, like, as fast as she can down our street, sobbing. And what happened was, her phone was actually in the car and not upstairs. And I found it. And I was like, oh, well, Zoe's phone is actually in the car. And my dad's like, oh, here, give it to me.
Oh my god.
Diabolical.
And she like now my dad's like, I just feel that's like one of my worst things I feel a bit guilty about. And she's like, I've never been more scared in my life. And me and my mom, my brother are like, it's the best moment of ours. She was running down crying. She's like, they're after me. The man in the house after me.
That makes me think of something that happened to me.
But yeah, that's my story.
That would be terrifying.
See, I thought that it would be like, you know how you can call someone but make it look like it's somebody else?
Yeah.
I thought y'all did that. Y'all just straight up stole her phone.
It was in the car, like. She thought it was
It was
upstairs.
less work.
It was very little work on our part and great
But,
payoff.
Yeah, great payoff.
She hasn't forgiven us. It's fine. It's been like 5 years.
So how old was she at that time?
She was in high school, so she was probably like 10th, maybe 9th grade, but I think she was like 10th grade.
That's great.
Yeah, so she was like old enough to comprehend things. It was great.
Old enough to think like, let me
Gonna
find
die.
my phone.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
She's
great.
like, yeah, she doesn't trust us anymore. It's cool.
Oh, I feel that. Something very similar like that, like a prank like that kind of happened to me. Not involving a phone, though. But that's a story for another time, not what I was brought here to tell.
Oh.
Okay. Now I'm going to tell this thing. Thankfully, I'm glad we've gotten into this area, because now it'll be easier. This probably won't make it in, but I will tell it anyway, and stuff. But alright. So, it was... this actually is a much more recent incident. I think this happened either this year or last year. Either way, it's pretty fresh in my mind for the most part. So, me and my brothers and all, my mom has a sister who is like, she was born when my mom was 13, so there's a big gap between them. So, my mom is mom age. My aunt is, okay, I don't want to reveal her age because she's probably going to trip. I don't know. She's not going to listen to this anyway.
We'll count backwards to figure out your mom's age.
Yeah, well, it's not a big deal. Anyway.
She's probably closer to art, like my age. Right, your aunt?
Actually, no, she's a little bit older. So my aunt is born in 1986. So she's 30-something. So...
That's her, Mrs. Mom.
Yeah.
I'm going to tag your mom when I post to social media.
Let's not. Anyway, so... she has 3 children that we sometimes have to babysit because her and her husband don't get to go out a lot because, you know, they're young parents and stuff. These are all, like, little children and stuff. They don't have time to, like, you know, always find, like, a professional babysitter or something to watch them. And they want, you know, couples like having that phase where they like going out when they have children or whatever. Anyway, so...
A wife?
Yes. So, I believe my mother and dad were not at home either, so they might have actually been hanging out with my aunt and her husband and all. So, me and my brothers were tasked with, watching the children and all. So me, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is going to be like when I have children and stuff. And like my favorite one is the middle child. Her name is Aaliyah. She's so cute. She's so precious and everything. I love her so much. Like, she's
family.
She's my model for my
like
daughter.
writing it down.
Anyway, so eventually, you know, they finally like got to sleep and everything. And, you know, it's like when babies go to sleep and it's just that real quietness. And when you're in a house alone, even to this day, because of an incident that I will have to tell another time, I am sometimes afraid. I'm not afraid, but even the slightest noise, I'm like, what's going on? So I'm downstairs. And here's the thing. Sometimes I set myself up. When I'm in my room, I feel much safer. But the thing is, when I'm alone and I am downstairs, the only light that's on is my dining room light and stuff, and I'm there because I like to be on my laptop either watching the videos or reading, which makes things seem creepier. I'm down there, and it's like, sometimes I hear the slightest noise, I'm like, what's going on and stuff, again, because of this thing that happened. So, that being said, eventually, you know, one of the oldest one, he was like, I had to put him to sleep and everything, and I was like, okay, it's time to like, I can finally go to sleep and all. But again, I kept hearing noises. But I'm like, okay, like, let me be rational. I'm more of a Mulder than a Scully, but nevertheless, I'm willing to dismiss sounds as just things and stuff. Like, there's nothing really happening. It's the air, or, you know, I have a lot of paper and all. So the paper's probably moving or something like that. I don't know. So I'm like, well, been a long day. It's time for me to go to sleep now. Woohoo! So, please don't tag my family. You guys have to understand that I am someone who likes doing whatever it takes to not be stressed or just relax. So that being said,
Troylon.
no, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. So that being
You tell me.
So that being said,
Oh.
I developed into this habit where I would go to sleep naked.
Oh,
That's it? Okay, no, let you finish.
I mean,
sorry.
do you want to hear those kind of stories too? Okay,
No,
anyway.
no, I thought that was this kind of story.
So, I am in my birthday suit, underneath the covers, relaxing and sleeping. I'm like, I'm on my back, just relaxed. I'm like, woohoo! You know, kind of feel the cold air, sometimes the heat. Sometimes, like, I can't decide if I want to be covered up or not. And so, either way, I'm sleeping and stuff. And keep in mind, because, you know, in order to, you know, sometimes to not be scared, you have the lights on at some place. So in the hallway, the hall light is on. My door is closed. I always close my door because I'm just used to it now.
You're in the nude.
Yes, and in the nude. Now, that being said, my door is defunct. Like, if you push it, it literally opens up. Oh, wait, not anymore. We fixed it. But it's a few months ago, before we fixed it, I think it was actually around December break, actually, when I was, you know, doing Harry Potter and stuff. Anyway, before that, yeah, so this is definitely 2018.
This is a recent story.
Yeah.
I love how I don't bring up Harry Potter in the podcast anymore. Like you either. Like, he's brought it up 3 times.
I know, right?
You guys have done well.
Indoctrinated you. It's fine. You can
Yes.
say it.
So,
I wasn't manipulated. It's what.
So anyway, the door, you know, it can sometimes just come open. Like, well, if someone pushes it. So I'm resting and all, and I continue hearing noises. So all of a sudden, I kid you not, the door just starts cracking open, and it's like, and so I'm like, what the fuck? I'm looking, and I'm like, why not only is this happening, but it's happening while I'm fucking naked. And so I look, and I see this black shape behind the door. Something, it's probably the wind. It has to be the wind, but I see an actual black shape. So I'm like, what the heck? Something has actually opened this damn door. And so, as that's happening, I'm like, what is this? Why while I'm naked? Why? Good thing I wasn't doing other things while naked. But anyway. Oh, God, why? So then, I'm like, what is it? Because it's small, like it's fucking Chucky. And all of a sudden I hear a voice say, Troylon? And I'm like, wait a minute. Aaliyah, is that you? And she's like, and she suddenly comes to the bed and she's like, I'm scared. Can I sleep and get in the bed with you? And so I was like, oh, I'm naked. And so I was like, Aaliyah, this is not the best time, you know, I don't think this is for the best. And she's like, please, I'm so scared.
Please stop making the voice.
And so then I'm like, okay, here's what you're gonna do. We're gonna play a game. You go out the room for a second and close the door, and then, or maybe I didn't. She just started going out. But either way, I think I just started getting up. And I had covers on. So I was like covering myself. I'm like, hold on. I just gotta, you know, get some like other sheets and stuff so it can be as comfortable as possible. And so then, after getting situated, aka clothed, I was like, okay, now you can come here and all. And so, that was what happened.
Okay, let me say, you can't finish the song, but you can tell a good story.
I know, right?
Well, thank you. But now you guys know this story in which I was almost scared out of my mind, and if I had so scared that I would have used the restroom, it would have gotten directly on my bed because I was naked. And yeah. Also,
Oh my God.
And then come think of it,
I thought you meant right now.
then she really wouldn't have been able to get in the bed. But anyway,
Like, who went to bed, the 6-year-old and the 20-year-old?
point is, I sleep with clothes on now.
Smart.
But yeah, so that's my story where I was nearly scared, and it turned out it was just my lovely favorite cousin. So yeah.
That is not as bad as I thought. Dude, you were saying earlier that you were gonna have to bleep. Like, is it the F word or the word naked?
Oh, that I was naked. I didn't think you guys would take well to that.
You said fuck like 7 times, but you said naked twice.
See, that was unexpected. I did not expect to talk about, like say the F word and stuff, but like, I didn't know how you guys would take to me talking about me being naked.
Hey,
Oh,
Tommy.
hello, Tulane.
Hi, Tulane.
Have you been hearing this? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, that's the end of our scary stories. This is different levels of scary. Alright, have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Be careful when you wear clothes.